Power 98.7 Podcasts.
Let's, Sommer, just welcome our guests right now, talking to the women about the Taungana Women in STEM Forum. And incidentally, Taungana means we have come together in Sichuan. And let me welcome our first guest, and we'll get to chat in a second.
A place for information and talk. Power 98.7. Now we're talking.
Let me say to our first guest, Sandra Tererai, Maneru.
Maneru, Thabiso, how are you?
Maneru, I'm well, thank you. And Mauya as well. To Power Hour.
Oh, yes.
You see, I've done my homework to try and impress you and speak Shona.
I'm impressed, Thabiso. I'm definitely impressed. Wow.
And let me also welcome our second guest, Zimkhita Buwa. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yours is simple and easy.
Yes, very.
Let me start off with you, Sandra, as the founder of Taungana and STEM It Forward co-founder. What inspired you to actually get into this? And I know that, and I'd actually like to go back to your childhood. You say that your parents played a big role because they were always supportive of you doing whatever you wanted to do. Your mother prayed a lot for you, even more than you did for yourself. But how did you get interested in the field of technology and engineering, science and mathematics?
Sure. I think my journey in STEM was a bit the natural course. So I did my science subjects and I excelled, and I just happened into a STEM career. So I'm a food scientist, my background. So I just happened into a STEM career, and it was only when I was actually in the field, in the industry, that I realized that there was actually underrepresentation in the field, that there could be more females taking up studies in these areas. Mm-hmm. And I suppose for me, that's when the questioning began in my head back then at university to say, why are there so few of us? For me, it had sort of always been a default. But as time went on, as we went into industry, as you tried to go up the corporate ladder, if you like, there were less and less women at the table or, just around you in the STEM industry. So for me, that was my inspiration to say there should be more of us here.
Zimkhita, you seem to not have had a chance of doing anything else since your mom used to be a maths teacher. Were you interested in maths begrudgingly, or was it something that you were interested in, you enjoyed, and you excelled at?
No, I'll be honest, I hated math and I didn't even take science as a subject. But what attracted me to technology was actually quite funny because my brother and I are 2 years apart. So we were always competing, and he decided to study information technology, and he would come back home and gloat about some of the programs that he'd written. And I thought to myself, well, if he can do it, why can't I? So I essentially chose information systems because of him. And what started as a competition ended up being a passion of mine. Mm-hmm. So I have him to actually thank for it. So that's basically where the interest started. And my mom obviously did support me because it is something that is close to her heart. She used to be a maths teacher. So that is where the interest in technology started.
What do you think, though, is the challenge in the reality that we have about having very few black people in general, but more so black women in the STEM? And I'm just reminding myself as you've been talking. I heard an interview a couple of weeks ago where Professor Zimkhita, who's very passionate about mathematics and just at the academic aspect of it, and she was talking about the fact that it's fascinating how when kids get to grade 12, you'd find that getting into university, there are more girls that are actually passing with higher grades than the boys, but something happens at tertiary level. Is that something that you've also, recognized as you've been in this field? Let me start with you, Sandra.
I think in my experience, we've, at high school, definitely there was sort of like the same proportion of girls and boys doing sciences. When we went through to university, the segregation wasn't so much in terms of girls not doing science subjects at all, but steering away from traditionally non-female aspects of STEM, if you like. Mm-hmm. So you found that in the engineering classes, you suddenly had less girls. In the electrical engineering classes, you had less girls, whereas for maybe your basic chemistry, you had more girls there. So there was more segregation of all those students who did well and performed at the same level, when it came to the choice of an actual STEM career, there seems to be an imbalance towards certain fields that girls would choose as opposed to others.
And is that something that is homogenous? Has research been conducted to identify why it is that there is this sort of veering off to this one particular area and not the others?
I think I can answer that. I mean, there has been research that has been done, and I think it boils down to perception. When one hears about such technical careers or such STEM careers, the first thing that you think of is white male-dominated industries, and it's about us as young Black women actually changing that perception and saying, hey, you can be young, you can actually be a woman and still succeed and progress in such careers. So it's about us coming forward as role models and actually saying to young girls, you can choose such careers and you can actually make a success out of it. So that is where Taungana, that is where STEM It Forward actually comes into play, which is essentially why we started the two organizations.
We're going to take a quick traffic break, and then I want to find out how exactly you aim to achieve this with Taungana. It's over to Lebogang Pokela. Taking your calls on 0861987000 if you want to be a part of the conversation. We're talking about Taungana Women in STEM Forum, and STEM meaning science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And Taungana is a movement that provides African high school girls from rural disadvantaged communities with an opportunity to access and explore these fields of science, technology, engineering and mathematics. And we're talking to the founder of Taungana and STEM It Forward co-founder, Sandra Tererai, as well as Zimkhita Buwa, who's the business unit manager at Bright House and director of STEM It Forward. If you are in the STEM fields and you want to share your thoughts as to how we can actually bring in more young girls, how we make it more attractive, how we make it less intimidating, because it seems like it also may be intimidating for young girls. It may seem unexciting even because we don't know, and it's not something that's always in your face. And how do we actually make it such that it is something that is recognized as part of our daily lives, even if it's not something that we think of it as such. And just before we took the traffic break, both Sandra and Zimkhita were explaining the importance of initiatives to get more young girls attracted to it and to know more about it and to get rid of the misperception of it not being an area where girls can go into it. Let me get back to Sandra about how then Taungana deals with this challenge in terms of promoting and influencing young girls to go into STEM.
Sure. So Taungana is basically a movement that gives rural high school girls the opportunity to explore the fields of science, technology, engineering, and maths. So just touching on what you said, one of the key things is actually having access and exposure to those type of fields. Just getting a basic understanding of what does STEM mean applied, in our daily lives. So as a girl, you love lipstick and you pick it up off the shelf. That's STEM behind that whole process to make sure you've got lip gloss in your pocket. You love to have your cool drink and that sort of thing. All that is STEM behind it. You go home, you switch on the lights. There's a whole STEM story behind how, you get electricity in your house. So the whole point behind Taungana is to give schoolgirls that access and exposure, to give them an opportunity to go into actual industry and say, if we are making energy, if we are making electricity, this is what it looks like, and this is what the engineer does. If we are making food, this is what it looks like, and this is what the food scientist does. If we're making cars, this is what it looks like, and this is what the automotive engineer does. So that's what Taungana seeks to do, to give access and exposure and inspire girls, expose them to role models, and show them that they can become STEM ambassadors as well.
Let's take a call from Benny, who's dialed on 0861987000. We'll get back to him now, and we'd like to hear from you if you are also involved in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, whether as a career or profession. Perhaps you're an educator in these fields. Is enough being done to make sure that even at school level, that enough excitement and the presentation of these subjects is done such that it is attractive and it's actually teachable? Because we hear of challenges where there are no labs, for instance, but science must be taught, and those things are also posing a challenge to making it an enjoyable experience, an attractive subject in our schools. Benny, good evening.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, how are you? How are you and all the guests outside?
We're all good.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I really appreciate what they have started, So I just wanted to ask, because I remember in our area, I used to do that. We teach mathematics, especially for the ones that are doing grade 12. after my work, So I just wanted to ask so that can they anticipate and they reach us here? We are ready even to volunteer because I think this can also empower women, can empower young girls, so that we give them direction so that they can be strong in their career and in their future, which I've been willing and I've been my desire so that one day we can find an organization like that. Will it be able in future so that they can reach us so that we can see how can we expand these things and then work with them together? Or the only ones women to involve in this project?
Zimkhita?
Yes, sorry, can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear it clearly.
He says he's involved in mathematics and science. He's involved in STEM, and he wants to find out whether or not you can utilize people like him to even at a voluntary level to support the program in mentoring and even educating young girls, or do you only want women to be involved in the program?
No. I think that's another perception that we also want to make sure that people forget. The fact that it's not only about women. There are men who are very supportive of women progressing in these fields. So we welcome men, we welcome women, we welcome anyone who wants to be part of the movement. We're not only saying that women should be at the forefront. There are men who are very supportive of such initiatives. So we would want his contact details if possible, and so that we can continue the discussion.
What we'll do, we'll get them off air, and then we'll get you connected. Benny, thanks for that call. I want to now talk. Go ahead, Zimkhita. Do you want to add something?
Yes, I wanted to add as well that you'll find that a lot of women in STEM have mentors that are actually men. So it's not only just about focusing on just women supporting each other, but also realizing that it's men who have the experience in these fields. So it's not to say that you can't approach a man who's successful in a STEM career so that they can be your mentor.
Mm-hmm. And Sandra, yes, the picture doesn't look as good as we'd ideally like it to be, but are there areas where inroads are being made in STEM for women?
Definitely. I think a lot of advancements have been made, but the figures show that we are increasingly having more female representation in STEM fields in general.
And are there specific areas where you can highlight, or just an example to say in this particular area we are seeing a significant growth?
I think in a lot of careers that are your natural sciences, you're seeing a lot of growth in terms of female representation. In technology as well, which is Zimkhita's field of specialization, you're increasingly getting more females in those areas, which are the areas that are typically the least represented. So your ICT, your technology, hardcore technology sectors. So those you're definitely seeing increasing participation and involvement from women in those areas.
Zimkhita, you wanted to add something there?
Yes, I wanted to add that, for example, the reason why we all came together is via a very amazing initiative called Tech Women. And Tech Women saw 78 women from Africa and the Middle East travel to Silicon Valley, where we were mentored by women in your big tech corporates, such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, Twitter. So there are definitely, such initiatives that aim to promote women representation in these sectors. So it's just about making sure that, we support each other and making sure that we make other women aware of such opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Just talking about Silicon Valley, you're referring to, of course, the region in the U.S. where a lot of your high-tech companies are all there together in a particular area, correct? And it's I suppose it's quite telling then that because it is, I suppose, the region itself and I suppose STEM, the picture or the image would be that it's a male-dominated even region, but apparently females outnumber males in the majority of the localities there, but also that the proportion of women is quite high, that it never drops under 49%. And that should be encouraging, isn't it?
No, it is.
Zimkhita, you go ahead.
Go ahead. It is encouraging, but I think that we should not forget the reality. Google came out with stats, I think, about a month ago, where they were saying that they need more women, they need more girls to take up coding and to take up more technical careers. So as much as there is an improvement, there's still a lot of work to be done, and we can't wait by the sidelines and say that someone else should do the work. We need to get our hands dirty and actually start promoting STEM environment so that girls can take up such careers.
So now tomorrow you've got an event where you're going to be having, panelists that are going to be coming together, including, who's this, Ms. Limao Toranteo from the city of Tshwane, Dr. Bitumelo Semete Makototlela, and who's with the Innovation Hub, and others that are going to be getting together to do what exactly? Sandra, you take that one.
Sure. The panelists are coming through to basically discuss much of what we've been talking about. The theme for the evening is the dynamics of STEM careers, using STEM to get a seat at the table. So the whole discussion is around, as young or whatever age we are in, professionals in STEM, female professionals, what are the challenges that we face and what's stopping us from making the best of STEM in our careers? How do we make STEM work for us, whether it's in terms of translating what we know into entrepreneurial ventures, whether it's getting into policy and making decisions that matter at a global or national level, just basically making work STEM for you so that you can gain financial independence, so that you can gain that independence in your life. How do we do it using STEM careers? Mm-hmm. So the discussion will focus a lot around that and the challenges that women face in trying to use STEM basically to get a seat at the table.
How are Zimkhita women doing in businesses that are STEM oriented in this country?
It's a difficult one. I think there's a lot of issues around funding, a lot of issues around mentorship and support, and also trying to balance owning a business and also being a wife or a mother. It's real issues that women have to face. But it's about providing support and ensuring that you have the necessary support structure to actually, make it work. But I cannot lie, it is a challenge.
And then when it comes to the event that you're having, the expo that you're going to be having in August, is that one open to the public, or is it for the girls that have been selected to participate in it, the STEM engineering expo?
It is for the girls.
Sandra, you take that one. I keep forgetting this. I need to tell you.
It is. So the STEM Expo is for the girls primarily that have been selected. We have 30 girls coming through from 3 different African countries. Mm-hmm. We have 10 girls from rural South Africa, 10 girls from rural Zambia, and 10 girls from rural Zimbabwe. So they all come through for a one-week program where they're basically going into industry. Our hosts include BMW, Eskom, Anglo-American, Innovation Hub, and Nestle. So they're basically going to be going through into industry and getting direct access to high-flying STEM female role models, seeing what STEM means in those organizations. On the Saturday, the 30th of August, which is the last day of the expo, we will have a career fair at Wits University, and that will be open to organizations that would like to exhibit for the students, basically.
And how do people get in touch with you for more information?
So they can contact us at info@taungana.org. Okay. That's TAUNGANA, or Sandra at taungana.org, Zimkhita at taungana.org, and Nomso at taungana.org.
Super. That's all we have time for, ladies. All the best with what you're doing. Keep at it. And waitas vako, Sandra.
Thank you.
And enkosi Zimkhita. Enkosi. It's now 6:30, time for the news headlines and traffic update on Power 98.7.
Power 98.7 podcast.